Most of my projects tend to be quite detailed and take quite a long time to actually fully realise. So sometimes it's quite fun just to do a very quick sculpture, but sometimes you get sort of possessed with an idea and you kind of want to realise it quite quickly. I was between projects a few evenings ago and I was suddenly taken with the notion to do an alien sculpture. I'd been thinking about doing this for a while, but I didn't want to make this a project that would take weeks and weeks and involve moulding and casting and all that stuff. So I thought it might be fun to do a very quick sketch which mostly concentrated on pose rather than lots of intricate detail. I think aliens have been on my mind for a while recently. I recently got this really nice piece from Sideshow Collectibles, so as you can see that's quite a nice bit of inspiration, which probably is why I started thinking about doing this in the first place. I may well follow up on this idea and turn this into a full-blown project, so sometimes it is quite useful just to have a quick sketch to experiment with pose and form to see how a final version might look. But in this case I thought I'm just going to set myself a challenge. So it's about 8 o'clock in the evening, so I gave myself 2 hours to put together an alien sculpture. So what I started doing first off was to do an armature, and as you can see here I'm using a drill to twist up some armature wire and use that to build up the basic form of the sculpture. Once I've got that screwed onto the base, I then started adding clay. Now what I'm doing here is using a Chavant, and it's a particular type of Chavant clay called Le Beau Touche. I'm sure I've probably butchered that pronunciation. And what it is, it's an oil clay like regular Chavant, but it's very, very soft. What that means is it's very easy to quickly sculpt something up. The likes of Monster Clay and Chavant often take some time to warm up in your hands. You can put them in the microwave or in the oven if you want to have them very pliable, but that does take a degree of preparation. Now this stuff just is soft all the time, so it's much easier to use and to quickly come up with sketches like this. I quite like the pose I've got here. It's quite dynamic. It looks like the alien might have just jumped down and landed, or maybe is rising up. I quite like the way that the tail sort of acts as almost like a framing device for the body. Now I had thought when I was doing this that perhaps the protrusions from the back could form a geometric shape around the head perhaps, and I might try and reconfigure this in the future to try and get the pose I'm after. But nevertheless I do quite like the way this looks. Often when you're doing sculptures, the fact that they're 3D, so it does sort of dictate a certain form, so while you might have a particular idea in your head, when you actually come to realise it in a 3D object you find that it doesn't quite work in the way you think it's going to. So if I ever do decide to come back and do a proper full-blown project in creating an alien, I'll have this as reference as to where to start. So anyway, that's it, just a very quick video looking at this one. Thanks very much for watching, see you next time.